you must watch Ryan Hall.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I do too. He's good stuff right there.
Yes, I do. He is good stuff.
Did you watch him the other night?
Yes, when he was doing all the live streaming and everything.
Yeah,
yeah. She loves Ryan Hall.
I do.
She'd rather watch Ryan Hall than anything, I think.
Well, it's just the fact that he's accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, I mean, what blew me away was the first time I watched him, and he's like, if you're in Trailer Park so-and-so on Route 641, you need to take cover, or you need to get to cover now, and he's telling you specifics, and I'm like, this is crazy. And I hollered at him, I'm like, check this out. I mean, he was naming streets and churches, everything. Hi, guys. As you can see, Doug and me and Hillbilly are having a conversation.
I have to assume it's actually live on YouTube.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
Yep. There we go.
Awesome.
We are live.
Oh, good.
All right. For the whole three people that are in here right now, our special guest is Doug from Missouri. So,
it's Doug from Missouri.
I don't know. Anyway,
it's right there.
That's Doug. Doug has been a mobile tech for about 3 years. He's also a volunteer fireman. And he is a retired union electrician. 30 years, Doug, is that right?
Yes.
Electrician. Yep. But what I think is the most interesting is he spent 15 years in the Navy.
Thank you for your service, sir.
And I don't know, was all that on a submarine or just part of that 15 years?
No, part of it was on a submarine, 10 years of it. 10 years.
Right. That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
I was on 3 different boats during those 10 years. So I reported to the James Madison in 1980 and left in 86. And during that time, I did what they call a tech assist with the 641 boat, the Simon Boulevard. And then from 86 to 90, I was on the Bonefish, USS Bonefish.
Cool.
So I've got to ask a question because I've been in the subs that they've decommissioned and put out as museum pieces and stuff.
Yes.
And they say that most guys on the sub are no taller than 5'8", 5'9". How tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
5'10". Okay.
Yeah.
Was it tight sleeping quarters for you?
Oh yes. I couldn't. You can tell I have kind of broad shoulders. I cannot sleep sideways in my bunk.
Yeah.
Sleep sideways. I had to sleep at an angle one way or the other, and they gets a little crampy. The boats that you take a tour through were just like the Bonefish.
Okay.
Small.
Yeah.
Small. The newer boats, the Fleet Ballistic Missile submarines, they had a little bit more room on it, not much more, a little bit more crew comfort and everything else. We at least had weights on the 27 boat, workout weights. Bonefish did not have that. We had no room. We had no room for it. If you wanted to go lift something in weights, then go down to the machinist and lift parts out of the bilge and put them back in. Do that type of routine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I saw where he had stated that you were on a sub, and I was like, I gotta ask him because that was the one thing on the tour you take, and they tell you some of the logistics. And I always wondered because I never knew anybody that had ever been on was actually on a sub.
Yeah. So the Fleet Ballistic Missile submarines, you left and you came back in. They were gone for my longest tour was 106 days. I on the tech assist on the boat that I went to, I showed up, we left, came back, and I went back home. So it was 106 days total. The Bonefish was a little bit better. We got to pull into a lot more ports. We did what they call the rum run to the south, St. Thomas, the islands down through there, and that type of thing. And we also went to Bergen, Norway, and got pulled into Norway and stuff like that, and did some stuff up above the Arctic Circle. So it was a lot more challenging, a lot more fun.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Did you get a lot of time in the ports?
Yes, actually, any more than 3 days was too much.
Okay,
because usually your money ran out. I'm gonna go home.
Yeah, I would imagine. So,
hey, Bill.
Bill's in here.
Yeah.
Oh, Bill.
Hope Debbie's with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank Dave.
Yeah. Bill's suffering down in Florida.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
We hate it for him.
Yeah, he I don't know how Canada makes it without him for a whole winter, but somehow Canada survives. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So I am assuming you probably went into service right out of high school. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I went, and believe it or not, on 4th of July. Missouri has a special company that it puts together. It's called the Cardinal Company. And they've had it since I went in, which was 1979. They still have it. Every 4th of July, they gather people from the state of Missouri that are entering the service in the Navy, and they take them down to a Cardinals game that's down in St. Louis. And after the Cardinals game, the guys load up on the buses and they head to Great Lakes.
Oh,
and that's where they start boot camp.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So it's a long day for them, but they get to sleep on the bus. That's probably the last good bit of sleep they're going to get for a few months.
Yeah. I know there's a lot more people in here now than there was in the beginning. This is Doug from Missouri. He's our special guest tonight, and we're kind of going through his introduction right now. He spent 15 years in the Navy, 10 of it on a submarine, and then he was a union electrician for 30 years. So, now where did you do that at, Doug? All over?
Most of it was around in the 3-state area: Iowa, Illinois, and Missouri. Okay. So I traveled around a little bit. I spent probably 10 years up in Peoria, Illinois, okay, which is inside my local, but it's 3 hours from here. So I'd stay up there during the week and come home. I did a lot of different stuff. I did a lot of commercial and industrial. We got into solar, and we also got into data because there's not a data division down here in this local. So we also did data. So they kept us busy for a good part. After I became a wireman, it seems like I was a lot more busy than I was an apprentice. But, I traveled a lot, and that was okay. We paid the bills, and I put boys and girls through college, and paid for a home, and so it did good.
Awesome. I'm typing.
Yeah.
So I can't multitask. I can either talk or type, but I can't do both.
He's a true man. True man.
Yeah. Well, this is my typing anyway. So I don't even. I know just one. Just one.
Oh wow. Oh, wow.
He's got pretty good with it, though. I mean, I hear him in there, and he'll be tapping away. Of course, I took typing in high school and keyboarding, and so I'm over here going, and then he's, yeah. It drives me crazy.
Now this one will work on the shift button, but other than that, yeah, it's that one there. That's the main dude right there.
Yeah, I was never good with all the. Yeah, my wife can do that though.
She can. I know. No, I don't have 10 brains. If I had 10 brains, I could use all 10 fingers.
It must be a girl coordination thing, being able to do. Yeah.
I don't have that problem.
Well, hello from Tennessee and Parkersburg and Fairfax. Yeah, and Florida.
Yeah, good to have y'all in here.
Yeah, it is. And Missouri. Yeah.
So not only did Doug serve his country for 15 years in the Navy, but now he's serving his community as a volunteer fireman. How long have you been doing that, Doug? So
we've been about 8 years doing as a volunteer fireman. Okay. We just got promoted to captain. I guess it was November, December timeframe. They promoted us to captain, or promoted me to captain along with another person. So that was something I wasn't expecting.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thanks. Whack a key.
Yes, you're right, Bill. Whack a key. Yes.
We're torn between two calls, which are EMS calls, which is the normal, somebody's sick and they need help, and that's okay. I'm a registered EMT along with my wife, and she's on the fire department also. Okay. And the other part of what we do is fires, but it's mostly woodland or wildland fires. We haven't had too many structure fires since I've been on the department. I think we've had 2, maybe 3. That's going to dink us probably, but because I said that. But the rest of them have all been wildland fires, and we have a lot of those. It's I'm sorry, but we're starting the stupid season where everybody wants to burn off their land and everything else. The snow's getting gone. This next week's going to be 70. So I'm sure that we'll have some people that'll try to burn something off, and the wind will get them, and it'll get away from them. So
So hi, Mad Jack.
Hey, Mad Jack. Hey, Sean and Howard.
Yeah, would you believe, Sean? I have been in LJ, Georgia. I used to do a fair amount of backpacking, and I went through LJ when I was down there backpacking the Pinhoti Trail. Yeah, I think LJ might have been. No, that's not where I got stuck. Couldn't get a ride out. Somewhere else. But yeah, I have been to LJ. Believe it or not. Oh, let's see here. All right. So now you've been a mobile tech now for 3 years.
3 years. Yep.
And if y'all are new in here, he did go to school. He had formal training down to Red Big Barn and the Big Red Barn in Texas. So what type of jobs do you do as a mobile RV tech? Pretty much everything, or you kind of choosy?
Yeah, no, I try to do as much as I possibly can. There's some things I really can't do. Like one call last week is some guy wanted me to replace these seals on his slide, and 90% of the time when you try to replace them seals, it's attached to that H box that's around the framing of that slide. So, which means that in order to replace that, you have to pull that slide, and I just can't pull the slide. I don't have the place because I know I could go down there and probably pull a slide out, but I also know that as soon as I do that, Mother Nature is going to come along and get a storm built up, and now I'm going to have weather and wind and water inside that RV, which is not good. So if it's a bulb seal, then sure, we can order that and replace it. I do Dicor on the roof. I'll fix ACs and pull ACs and replace them, and furnaces, pull furnaces and replace them, refrigerators, all the major stuff.
Okay.
Fireplaces, hot water heaters, both the regular old style and the on demand hot water heaters, and all that. Tires, I'll change somebody's flat tire. I did that on a Class A. Of course, it was the rear tire and it was on the inside.
Of course.
Yes, of course.
Of course. How do you do a 2-man job, like taking an air conditioner off the roof or taking a refrigerator in and out or something?
So the refrigerator is a 2-man job.
Mm-hmm.
That's just it. I've replaced 3 of them, and all 3 jobs I've had 2 people there with me. I had a friend, Mike, that was down for a while, and he helped me with one. I had a customer. He helped me with the second one. And the third one, my wife came and helped me. So that was really good. I was kind of shy about her coming in and helping me. I thought it was going to be kind of pragmatic. We've been married 45 years, and we don't scream and yell at each other too much.
Right.
But there could be that. But it went okay. I was really surprised, and oh, wow, this could work. She could help me with the refrigerators. AC units are a problem. I did 11 of them last year, AC units, 4 I did by the old method, the grunt method, pushing them up the extension ladder.
Right.
And after the 4th one, the day after, I was on 4 ibuprofen for about 3 days, trying to get over being sore.
Right.
So me and this friend that I talked to almost on a constant basis, Mike, talked it over, and he said I should get a pick me up. So I ordered a pick me up, and I have a Little Giant for the pick me up, and the pick me up, and I just pull the AC unit out of the back, which is I have a F350 with a deck system in it, so it's about 4.5 feet to the top of the deck system. So I have to lift the air conditioner up that high to get it into the RV or into the truck. That is something I'm going to change for this next year. I'm going to get a regular a trailer, or borrow my brother-in-law's trailer and throw the AC units back there, so I don't have to pick them up. And then with that pick me up, I just put 2 come-alongs, but straps on them, and hook it to the pick me up, and it'll pull it up, and I can situate it enough to where I can get it up above the RV and pull it over to where it'll set center line in the RV.
Yeah.
By myself, without any help. So then I start working on the old one, getting it out of there, and then I take the pick me up, and I pick it up, and I take the old one and I set it on the ground. It gives me room, and then I can go and put the new one in and get the new one all situated.
Yeah. I don't think I ever did an air conditioner totally by myself. I would have at least have the customer help me get it off the back of the van to the ladder, and then I'd tell them to go away, and I'd push it up the ladder. I'd bring the old one down. I'd say, don't be around the ladder till I get on the ground. And then when I'd get my feet on the ground, I'd have them help me get it from the ladder to the ground or the truck or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never could lift one off the ground and get it to here. You know, I just couldn't. I couldn't do that. That's just too much for me.
And the last one I did almost went over backwards. So I said, okay, I need to. I need to figure out something different here.
I was always the top of the ladder was always that close to coming off the ladder backwards.
Yep.
So Steve says he does them by himself. I bet you Steve's a lot younger than me and you, though.
He might be. I'm thinking,
yeah.
That's okay.
Steve,
the pick me up helps me a lot.
Yeah, I'd say I've seen those things. It's not something that I want to invest in. Because I had a helper, you know, up until the last 2 years.
How's old Cam doing?
He's doing good. He started a new profession.
Oh, really?
He's a CO in the prison.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So this is his second week.
Second week. Yeah, I think he started training this week.
Okay. So
Steve's 52. Yeah, you still are young, Steve.
Yeah.
you're getting up there, but
you're 52. I think it's too old to be doing them ACs by yourself, though, bud. That's just my opinion. You know, everybody's got one. But 52 turns into 62 before you know it, bud.
Yeah.
And then
I wish I would have started this a lot earlier.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for a long time. So I did start when I was younger.
Yeah.
But boy, I got old fast. So, And when I got old fast. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Yeah, we always do.
Yeah. Well, you know, when we're young, old guys tell us, hey, don't do that. You're going to pay for that later in life. It's like, oh, man, you don't know nothing.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
And you know what? Them old men were right. We should have listened to them.
And the old women, because I'm right there with the old women.
Dave says he had one done by Mobile Tech, and he backed it up the ladder.
Backpacked it up.
Oh, backpack. Okay.
For installation.
Well,
you want me to go get your glasses?
Yeah, probably. If y'all watch James, AZ Expert, he does that. He grabs the hole in the air conditioner, throws it on his back, and goes up the ladder. I'm like, yeah.
Oh boy, my back could be out for a month.
Yeah. He's I hate to see him doing that.
Hey, old broad. We're glad you're here.
You want to read that one?
I fixed my Suburban using a couple of your videos. Now I'm the resident furnace mechanic at the park. LOL.
Well, that's kind of how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
Every park has one of them experts. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old Broad says y'all are youngsters.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't feel like a youngster. Yeah, Mad Jack. I don't know. I hope he does okay with it, but I don't know. I don't see him having the temperament for it. I don't know. Maybe he does. I don't know.
Right
Well,
now,
is he in a guy's prison or a girl's prison?
it's maximum security prison for both male and female.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Right here in
Yeah.
Southern West Virginia.
Yeah. It's got what was it they said the other night? 2,500. 2,500? I think
I don't know,
25.
it's that big.
I think it's 2,500 prisoners is what we go to church with one of the men who works there, and I think he said the other night it was 2,500 persons. I'm not going to say men because it is male and female.
Yeah, inmates.
Yeah, inmates. Thank you. I couldn't think of that word to save me. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, just quickly. I know if you've been in here the whole time, I'm sorry, but there's people that are just got in here. This is Doug. He's from Missouri. He spent 15 years in the Navy, 10 of it on a sub. He spent 30 years as a union electrician, and now he's a volunteer fireman and a mobile RV tech in Missouri. So that just tells you a little bit about where Doug's coming from. We've asked him a lot of questions, so if there's anything you want to know, maybe go back and watch this later on YouTube. If you just get
Or
here,
just ask.
and
he can answer again. It won't hurt.
You sure?
Okay. Now I got to go through my list here, see what I've already asked you, because I wasn't actually going by the list.
And Mrs. Hillbilly was going off the list too. So yeah, I was messing things up.
One thing I didn't ask you, it was on the list. Why did you choose the Navy rather than another branch?
I had my best friend Bob. His dad was in the Navy. He was a air traffic controller during Vietnam on an aircraft carrier, and he told me how good the food was and how many ports they made and all the other fun stuff that sailors do. And so I thought, okay, I'll do that. So I went down and I saw the Navy recruiter, and that's what got me in. That's got me in there.
Yeah.
So how true was what he told you?
Well, on submarines, the food is excellent.
Yeah.
No, okay.
We do have most submarines. Most ballistic submarines on halfway night, they usually have a little thing to celebrate halfway night that half the patrol is over and they're on the way back home. And it usually consists of what they call surf and turf, which is lobster and steak. So that usually gets it real good. They also have fun and games and stuff like that. I don't want to spoil it for you guys. You can find out from somebody else what those fun and games are. But the other part of it is when I was on the Madison, when we were in port in Florida, the Cobb, the chief of the boat, the senior enlisted person on the boat, wanted the mess specialist to keep something on the line 24 hours a day.
Wow.
So when we were in port, we had guys would come off the beach, or guys that were working late on a piece of broken equipment that couldn't make supper or something like that. There was something on the line for them to eat. So it was usually sandwiches. It was usually bread and ham and salami and pickles and stuff like that were left out, cheese. And then, of course, there was always something to drink, and you had your ice cream machine there. So there was a meal there for if you didn't make the evening meal. So that was the big thing that the Cobb wanted. Of course, the other part of it was that the Cobb was coming off the beach, and he was pretty well stoked up. So he wanted a meal before he went to bed.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Any funny stories from the submarine days that stand out to you?
So we had, like I said, the chief of the boat, the Cobb, is the senior enlisted person on board. And Cobb usually is a pretty strict guy. He can be fun at times, but he's usually pretty strict. And we were in Cocoa Beach, Florida. We were down there to do a thing. And the Cobb and me passed in the hall one day. And we've been down there about a week. And the Cobb stopped and he looked at me. He called me over. I said, "Yeah, Cobb, what do you need?" He goes, "I haven't been out on the beach with you yet." I went, "Okay, Cobb." He says, "Do you want to go out?" And I said, Sure, yeah, let's go out tonight." So I didn't have duty, so I was off, and we were going to go out. The chief of the boat had his own car, and so we went out on the beach, and we started off with the Mouse House and three fat guys, and we went from one bar to another, to another, to another. And I had already known that the Cobb was a steamer. Okay, so he was a boy that drank. He drank drank on a regular basis and could drink a lot. And the Cobb was in his mid 30s, 30 to 35, and here I was a 23-year-old guys, and I was been hearing from everybody else how the Cobb just slayed them and everything else with the drinking and put them under the table and everything else. And I wasn't so hip on keeping up with the Cobb. I was just hip, just ending with the Cobb, just staying the night. So we came to the last one, was the Lamppost Lounge in Cocoa Beach, Florida. And we were down there drinking, and it was like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was done. I was French fried. I was way past. And I went over to the Cobb, and he was sitting there drinking and talking to people. And I said, "Hey, Cobb," I said, "give me the keys to the van, and we'll go. Let me go and sit down for a while." I said, "Okay, here." So he gave me the keys, and of course I passed out in the van. At 5 o'clock in the morning, the Cobb got in the van, and he woke me up and says, "Where's the keys? Where's the keys?" And I gave him the keys. We had quarters at 6 o'clock, and the boat was 45 minutes away. And we were in civilian clothes. That's not counting through the gate, going through the gate guard and everything else. So needless to say, at 5:50, we're running back to the boat, running down the hatch, getting all dressed and everything else, and getting clothes on and scuffling back up through the hatch to have quarters out on the pier. And at 6 o'clock, the commanding officer would walk up and come out and give his daily speech on what's happening, what's going on, and then the Cobb would dismiss us. And we all got the quarters on time, and everybody was there before the captain come out and everything else on this day. And after quarters was over, the Cobb asked, he came over, walked over to me. He says, "Hey, so how you doing, buddy? Doing all right?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, we're going to go out again tonight." I went, "All right, Cobb." He goes, "Just remember, you got to work all day." No, you got to work all day. I went, "Okay, Cobb," kind of confused by why he said that. I was at the time was the leading seaman. So I was the guy that was in charge of all the seamen and the seaman apprentices. And we were painting topside and everything else. So I was outside in the heat all day long, drinking coffee like a madman to stay awake and and I got a little nooner in, from 11:45 to 12:30. I got my little rest in and everything else. And about 10 o'clock, I went downstairs to get a cup of coffee, and one of the chiefs came out of the chief's quarters. I said, "Hey, where's the Cobb at?" "Oh, he went aft. He's back aft doing an inspection, da-da-da-da." "Okay, all right." So I went about to get my coffee and went back upstairs, da-da-da-da. After lunch, I ran into another chief. "Hey, where's the Cobb at?" "Oh, the Cobb's at a meeting with the CO over on the tender." "Oh, okay, all right." So I knew the Cobb was busy. Cobb's a busy man.
He's sleep.
At 4:30, I'm going down to mess hall to eat something, and here comes the Cobb out of the Chief's quarters. And I stop and look at him, and he looks at me. So on a submarine, we have this thing called a CPO spread. And the CPO spread was tan, and it also had little ribs in it. Okay? And whenever you slept on those blankets, it would leave an impression on your face. And we called it rack burns. So I looked at him, I said, hey, Cobb, very impressive rack burns there. You've been sleeping all day, haven't you? What are you talking about, Petty Officer Baker? I don't know what you said, or don't understand what you said. And off he went, And he came back again at 5 o'clock. He says, come on, let's go. And I went, no, I'm going to bed. And I think I went to bed at 6 o'clock and slept until 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
I had to go back to quarters again. So
yeah.
he was a hard guy to keep up with, but he was a good Cobb. He was a good Cobb. He ran a good ship, and he kept all of us in line. So that was a good job. That was a good job. So
yeah. Well, we've already determined you left high school, you graduated high school, went straight into the Navy. How about once you get out of the Navy, did you go straight into being a union electrician, or how did you end up being a union electrician?
So I came home in '93 and came home to Palmyra and was living with my in-laws. That didn't go over very well. But anyways, I had a brother-in-law, and a brother-in-law had log homes, and he built log homes. He would call for the people to come in. He'd set up all the logs and set up everything, and they'd start putting them together for the 2-3 days, and he would do the electric on it. So he had his home that he had purchased, and they were there dropping it off, and he asked me if I would help him. And I said, sure. He says, I'll pay you. I said, okay, yeah, whatever. And so we started working, and I don't know if you ever built a log home before, but they're a pain, and your measurements really, really, really have to be on cue for every row that's going up, because you drill down through the row that was just set down below into the basement or into the bottom, so you can get the electric up through the wood pole to get it to the outlet, and then you have to router out the outlet and everything else later on. So I ended up doing that. We ended up getting that fixed and finished and everything else. And he had some time between the one he had built and the next one he was selling. Yeah. I was sitting there at the in-laws, and my other brother-in-law, the one that's married to my wife's sister, came over and asked me some questions about how I like working with Pete and everything else, and this, that, and the other. And he said, well, would you like to do that, full time? And I said, well, I guess so. It'd be a good job. And he goes, I said, it's a fun job. I like putting things together. He goes, well, why don't you go over see my dad? So his dad was the assistant business manager over in Quincy, IBW Local 34. And I went over and talked to him. He had me fill out an application, and I turned in the application. Of course, 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, they had interviews, and I went in for the interviews. And out of everybody was there, I was about twice as old as everybody there. So I kind of thought, well, okay, I'm all young stuff, all the old stuff, that they ain't going to take me, Right. So I was waiting about a week, and I got a phone call on a Sunday morning. And the NECA rep, the guy that was in charge of the electrical commission, called me up and said, well, congratulations, Mr. Baker. I said, okay. He says, you are number 5 on our list. Well, okay, that sounds great. I said, how many positions you taking? He said 4. Okay, all right. That's not good. And he says, but we have a question we have to ask you and get your answer from before we go much further. And I said, okay, what's that? And he says, well, if one of the other 4 drop out, would you be willing to still come into the union and take the spot? And I said, sure. I didn't hesitate. I said, sure, because I didn't have a job. No jobs was looking up or coming up on the thing. So yeah, no problem. And he said, okay. So about 15, 20 minutes later, he gave me a call back. And said, you start the 6th of June. And that was 1994.
Yeah. Cool. So, Any what kind of projects did you do as a union electrician, and did you work on any famous buildings or projects that people might know about?
Well, I built a Home Depot down here in Quincy. I built a couple other businesses. I worked on some cogen projects up in Illinois. So the cogen project is where they took natural gas and piped it into a turbine. Mm-hmm. So it turned the turbine, and the turbine would cause to make electricity and everything else. I worked on 2 or 3 of those. I did 2 or 3 solar projects. One's off of I-70 between St. Louis and Kansas City. I did a couple coal fire projects up in our local. There was at one time, they're all shut down now. There were 3 coal fire electrical producing facilities up there. And whenever one was up and operating, the other one was shut down, and it was getting rebuilt or a new addition added onto it. And then the third one was held back in reserve in case the first one went down. Then they'd have a backup with the second one. And then the second one would come up, the first one would go down, and then the third one would get worked on. And we rotated back and forth for those 10 years. I was up in Peoria working from one to the other, all for different contractors. So
right.
It was a lot of fun. We did a lot of interesting work, did a lot of pipe work, a lot of rigid pipe. So
I'm curious. How long did it take you to get through the apprenticeship program and actually become a master electrician? I'm assuming you were a master.
No, I was a journeyman with classified as a journeyman wireman. I was a journeyman wireman. Okay. It was a 5-year apprenticeship.
Okay.
It took all 5 years.
Yeah.
I had good grades, but the time is another thing. You have to have X amount of hours. It's usually 2,000 hours a year, and every 1,500 hours, you usually get a pay raise, and you start off at some start off at 50%, some start off 55%. Yeah, 55% of what the standard wage is. After I retired, the standard wage in my local went up to 46 an hour. Right. So somebody who's starting today is going to be starting at 23 an hour.
I never worked for a company that didn't happen. The old guys, the new guys would make as much as the old guys.
Yeah.
I never understood that, I mean, the new guys would come in at almost what the old guys are making. That just never made any sense.
When I started off in the apprenticeship, I was making, I think it was $6.45 an hour.
Yeah.
$7 an hour.
Yeah. Bruce is in here. He was our special guest 2 weeks ago.
Hey, Bruce. Yeah, I saw that. How you doing, Bruce?
Good to have you in here, Bruce. How about any funny stories that kind of stand out from your career as an electrician?
All right. So I was a 5th-year apprentice. Yeah. So this would have been 1999. My local was slow, so they farmed me out to the local over here in Hannibal, Missouri, local 350. And I've been over here several times working through the last 5 years. And I was showed up on the very first day, and I had known many of the guys that were on that job. And Mr. Brunk was out of local 13, which was Burlington, Iowa. And he and his uncle had come down to work at local 350 at this project. And it was the old American Cytomed. It's now BASF. And we were down there first day starting, and me and Mr. Brunk were catching up. I was very interested in Mr. Brunk and what he was doing back then in 99. He had his own business, and he was running his own business. And he had popcorn. He was making kettle corn. And he was just having great fun doing it, leaving, working here, working there. And the times that he was off between one job to the other, he would run that kettle business. So there's this guy. His name is Tom Fletcher. And there was 2 Tom Fletchers on board. They were father and son. And Big Tommy was dad. And Big Tommy was, 5'4", 5'5", maybe on a good day with heels on, maybe soaking wet, 90 pounds. Little Tommy was his son. And little Tommy was probably 6'3", 6'4", and weighed about 250, 260, somewhere in there, big boy. So little Tommy there, he was trying to get my attention. And I was talking to Mr. Brunk. Me and Mr. Brunk had a conversation going, and we were talking, and he was telling me about his business and how it was going and everything. And Tommy was back there calling me every name in the book that you could think of and everything else. So me and Mr. Brunk finished up our conversation, and I'm waiting. I'm waiting for him to say something. And there's silence. And there must have been a good 15 seconds of silence. And he said, "Warthog." And I turned around and said, "What?" Like that. And just as soon as I said what, I knew that was going to stick. And it did. It stuck for 25 or 26 years. Yeah. So that was my nickname. If you ask anybody down here, if they were making, if they knew Doug Baker, there was nobody knows Doug Baker, but everybody knows Warthog.
Warthog.
So that, and that's of course where the business name came from. Me and the wife were talking back and forth, and we came up with a lot of different names. Grandpa's RV, and that was already taken. And Doug's RV, that sounded kind of bland. And or Jimmy, some type of emergency rescue RV or something like that, and that had been taken also. So she says, "Why don't you just use Warthog?" So I told little Tommy that I was going to use Warthog as my business name. He goes, "I get royalty out of that, don't I?" No, I don't think so.
Wow. All right. So we have determined that you let's see here. How am I going to word this? All right. So you retired as a union electrician.
Yes.
And then how did you get into the RV stuff from there?
Oh, okay. So I had actually started the business 2 years prior of me retiring. I retired April Fool's of this last year. And when I did that, I went full time for the RV. The 2 years prior, I would work at nights after work or on the weekends. Whenever a customer would come in, I was just getting started. Fortunately, the local RV establishment over here, they would ask people would call them to ask for somebody to come out and do work, and they don't send people out. They just ask them to come in, and when they said that they couldn't come in because they were full time or they didn't have the facilities to bring it in, then they would give me my number and I would go out to them. So that's how I actually got the networking started. And then I did the Google thing. I didn't pay for the advertising and just put it out there on Google. Right. So the way it really started was my daughter came in one day and she said she was living with us. Payback for living with my in-laws. She was living with us, and she had 2 children at the time. She had lived with us earlier when Piper was born, before Piper was born, and 2 years after Piper was born. So Piper now is 10, and so it's been a couple of years, and she was living with us, and I had told my wife, we need a break. I need a break. June was born. June was a newborn or 1 year old or something like that, and a baby screamed. Just I don't know. It's like somebody dragging nails across a chalkboard. It just it just helps. It hurts. So, anyways, I told her we need a break. We need to do something. We need to get away. We need to do something. So I guess the daughter overheard it, and she came to us, and she says, "I got an idea. Got an idea. I'm going to get an RV." And I'm going to take it down to the local place and park it there. And we'll go there on Thursdays. And then spend the weekend. We'll be back on Monday. Monday, the girls and stuff can go back to school, do all the school things. We can do laundry and all that other stuff. And then be back to the RV on Thursday. And we said, "Oh, baby, that sounds like a great idea." It really does. So we waited until she left, and we kind of rolled our eyes and went, that ain't going to happen. So 2-3 weeks later, after discussing it back and forth, we said, we can make it happen just the other way. Right. How about if we get the RV and we leave, and you can hear and have the house, and you can do laundry at the house on the weekends and everything else. So our past chief had moved up to Washington, Seattle, up to Seattle, Washington. And on Memorial Day weekend, we decided that we were going to go up and see him. So we took an extra day before we left and went down towards St. Louis and looked at RV spots. We covered 7 RV places and what they had, what they didn't have. This is what we're looking for, and everything else. We were dead set on having the bunkhouse, which is not really good. It's good in some respects, but when the fold-out bed is right in front of the TV, they'd rather be on that fold-out bed than in the bunks. Now, when we got 6 or 7 grandkids, the bunks get used then, and the kids get in there. So we went through and we talked to everybody. The very first one that we looked at, which was a 281 Starcraft BH, is the one we ended up buying. And we talked, it was out of Mom and Pop's place near St. Louis, 47 West. And that's where we got it. So we talked to him. She says, yes, you can go online. So that night that we were in St. Louis, before we went to Seattle, we filled out the application, went to Seattle, saw the chief and hung around with him for a week. And we came back, and as we were coming back, before we left Seattle, we found out that the loan was approved. And when we came back and came out of St. Louis back toward home, we stopped there at 47 West and we talked to him. She says, your RV will be ready to go Wednesday of next week. Okay, great. So we came home, and I had a F-150, and I got the F-150 and took it down to them, and they put it on. Now the 281 BH, it's a light, so the F-150 can pull it. I made 2 trips to Texas with it. The gas mileage wasn't very good. It was like 4 or 5 miles to the gallon. Yeah. But it did pull it. I felt that it was at 90 or 80 to 90% of the stopping power of the truck. So, but we got through it. My wife consequently bought me a new F-350, so now it's not a problem. But we brought it. We came home, and first thing we did was go to Wyaconda State Park, which is just 2 miles down the road, and hooked it up and camped that entire weekend, and we loved it. It was great. And that's when we had to start figuring out that, oh wow, how are we supposed to dump these tanks? Why should we keep the tanks, the valves closed? Why should we, when should we keep them open? All that other stuff. And how does this work? How did that work? And just trying to work through it. We did get a good turnover from the company, so it wasn't really too bad. It was a little bit of a learning curve, but getting out there and doing it's the only way you learn. It's kind of hard knocks type of thing. And it's the same with the job too. The only way you learn the job is to just get out there and do it. If you feel it's too much for you, then tell them no. But if you think you can, with the right paperwork, and get through it and do it, then go do it. So what actually got me shoved into doing RV work was that when we were out there camping, I always heard the nightmare. Oh, I just got my trailer back after 6 months sitting at the dealer from getting fixed. And we've had it for 1.5 years now, and this is the second trip that we've had. Right. Well, there's got to be something better than this. And that's the reason why I started looking, and that's when I found Todd Henson there. He's Tech Tip Tuesday. Yep. And started looking at the National RV Training Academy and going. So,
yeah. Well, I tell you, anybody that buys an RV for the first time, that's a huge learning curve.
Yes, it is.
Huge learning curve. I've got I've got customers that have been in that learning curve for 4 or 5 years, and I had one customer one time. He owned a little Class C motorhome for probably 10 years, and he never knew how to do anything in it. Every time he went to use it, he was on the phone with me. How's this work? How's that work? Why do I have to do this? And it was the same things every time. So
yeah,
he was a doctor. I mean, he should have got it, but he never did get it. Oh, well, now that you're an RV tech, what's your favorite kind of jobs to do on an RV?
So the basic appliances, I like doing ovens. I like doing furnaces and refrigerators and fireplaces and AC units. The refrigerators, yeah, okay, I'll do them, but they're not too much fun. What I really like doing is helping the RV owner get more out of his trailer, get more out of his RV. I have a customer right now. She has a refrigerator problem. She's waiting on coils to come in from Thetford, and she's a younger girl, long hair. And I asked her, I said, how do you like, she has a traditional hot water heater. And I said, so I'm going to ask you a personal question. You can tell me jump off if you don't. I said, do you get all the soap out of your hair? And she goes, no, I don't. That's very disappointing. Not before it gets freezing cold.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you do this? Why don't you turn on the propane before you get into the shower, and that'll extend the warm time of your water out a little bit longer. Maybe you can get the soap out of your hair. And that's what I like to do. That's what I like doing for the RV owner. Let them enjoy more of their RV.
Yeah. Well, that's a big part of it, really.
Yeah.
We all go on jobs all the time, and all we're doing is teaching people how to use the RV because they're
and save money too. Yeah. Oh boy, Open Roads app. The Open Roads app for diesel gasoline.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this area, I'm paying $2.93 for a gallon of diesel.
Yeah. Wow.
So
wow.
It really, and it's not. Mud Flap is another one, but that's you get a 5 cent discount, and over 5,000 gallons, they give you an extra 10 cents for next fill up or something. It's not like that. It's the Open Roads is now. It's a now discount.
You're paying about 60 cents less than we are for diesel.
Yeah. So that's through the Open Roads app. And some people don't like it because they're going to ask to draw directly out of your account. They don't want you to send them checks or stuff like that. And that's okay. I understand. Too many fingers in a pie don't make it very good. So if you're that way, then set up a fake bank account, give Open Roads that fake bank account, and whatever you draw up on the pump, say if the pump is $380 at $395, you're going to get charged $295. Go ahead and throw $380 in that account. So when they go and draw the money out, then there's enough money there.
Yeah.
And then over time, you'll be able to keep track of that account. So you'll be able to cut it a little bit closer as time goes by. Yeah. They've been drawn out of my business account for the last 2 years, and I have not had a problem. Not one problem.
Well, what's your least favorite RV job to do?
Oh, it's always the dreaded black tank call. The Pooh City,
everybody's.
I guess
it's even not only just black tank calls, but my husband worked on the black tank and he did this to the valve, and now we need it replaced.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's not dumped yet.
Yeah, and it's full.
It's full.
The tank's full.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
That was the key. She got irritated with me. So I said, okay. I said, hey, could you run some water in the toilet there so it since the valve's open, it's going to flow right on through. she ran water, and I heard the water stop running. I went, "What's the matter?" She goes, "Well, the water's full in the tank. It's up to the bottom of the ball valve on the toilet." And I said, "Well, that means that you have a clog in that tank." I said, "You're gonna have to take care of that clog before I replace that valve, because I'm not dumping poo all over this facility here, so I can replace your valve. I'm not that quick, and usually it gets everywhere, including you."
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Dave wants to know, he's contemplating an on-demand water heater. Will take up the same residence as my current tank. They're actually a little bit smaller, but most of the on-demand water heater companies will sell you an adapter if the hole on the side of the camper is too large. They'll sell you a door adapter to make it fit the hole.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, I don't know how Doug feels about tankless water heaters. I don't like them because our groundwater gets, if it's somebody staying in it full time here, our groundwater gets too cold in wintertime and they just won't heat. They won't heat up.
Yeah, that is true. Gets below like 35 or something, and the water temperature get below 35 and won't heat up.
No, well, ours don't get quite that cold, but still, they only heat X number of degrees.
Yeah.
No matter what, and if your water's cold coming in and it heats it to X number of degrees, but you want it to be here, it ain't gonna happen. You'll have to wait till summertime to get a hot shower.
There's a guy on YouTube. I forgot what his name is. He's a motorcycle guy. He was in the Navy. He's a VF guy. He's a brown shoe, what we call a brown shoe. He did a contemplation or comparison. There we go. Comparison between a hot water heater and the on-demand heater. The on-demand heater has its benefits in some ways and not benefits in others. Where so on-demand, if you're doing a lot of boondocking, an on-demand hot water heater is not going to be for you, because by this guy, in order to get the water up to temperature and get hot water, it takes up a lot of water. So you're going to be dumping a gallon or a gallon and a half of water in your tank every time you want hot water. Whereas the old traditional hot water thing, it takes about half that much, a half a gallon, maybe most, if not a quart, and that'll be hot water then. So on the other side, if you're somewhere permanent all the time, not moving, have the tanks that you can dump anytime, any moment, any day, then maybe the hot water or on-demand is best for you, especially if you have a girl that has extremely long hair down past her waist. It might be the thing that you might look at. And that's, if you're setting all the time, you can fill up that gray tank with one shower, and then dump it and then go back and take your own shower. But with me and my RV and the way I work, most of the time, 90% of the time, I do not have full hookups. I have to dump at the station all the time, so it's a pain.
Yeah,
we waste a lot of water.
And Dave 49 asked a question about Darren at My RV Works. I think you are correct, Dave. I believe he was in the Navy.
Yeah, he's former Navy.
Yep. So
no, it's not him.
No, not Darren.
No, it's not Darren. It's Chad. Chad and his wife. His wife is blonde, and they got Daisy, the little dog, because their dog's the same name as our dog. Chad. Oh. Chad. Boy, I'm getting bad. That's that old age showing in.
Yeah. Well, it happens to the best of us, bud. Well, we're going to wind this down. We're coming up on an hour. So just really quick, Doug.
Okay.
You were really nervous coming in. How'd it go, do you think?
It went fairly well. I didn't watch too many of the comments. because I was afraid that somebody was going to say, "Well, wow, why'd you let him be so ugly?" or something like that. But anyways,
not one ugly.
I didn't see one ugly comment in there. So,
so
it's on demand so far.
yeah, and the on demand does use a propane.
Yeah.
But for me the just me and the wife. Okay, none of the grandkids being around. Just me and the wife. When one of us steps in the shower, I go over there and I flip on the propane just for the just so it can get back to heating better. And also in Texas, it's really good to use your propane in Texas. Really good for two reasons, especially in September and August, September. Texas has a lot of brownouts, so you're losing power all the time. So if your refrigerator and your hot water heater are on propane, then you don't lose any power. And I've also had a lot of refrigerators go bad because the park or the place that the guy set up permanently loses power and it comes back. And for some reason, refrigerators just don't like that. And they have a blockage issue usually when that occurs. But propane's good to use. Make sure the propane's there for a reason. I try to, and in Texas it's really hot, so the propane really boils off at a higher rate, so it stays in there. I was down there for 6 weeks for my training, and I kept my refrigerator and hot water heater on propane the entire time, and did not run out of propane. Cool. Had 2 tanks.
Yeah.
So, but I got home and went on the first camping trip, and the temperature was much cooler, and within a day, it bottomed out on me. So.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate everybody that's been in here tonight and all the great comments and questions. Doug, you've been a fantastic, good special guest, man. It's been very interesting. I figured you were going to be an interesting fellow to talk to.
Oh well, I don't know about interesting, but it was sure fun to talk to you. I've been watching you for so many years, and I really thank you. It's an honor to be on your show and to be associated with you now, and I am looking forward that maybe I'll cut some time out this summer and we'll come down and bug you for a week or so and give you an extra hand, or at least just bug you while you're doing stuff.
That would be awesome.
More than welcome, bud.
You can be a special guest on my videos.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know that now. What's going on with Hillbilly now? I don't want to be pushing Hillbilly out.
Oh, Bill Hilly, he would
Bill
be.
Hilly, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to be pushing him out, or I don't. He needs to work now. He's got a girlfriend. He needs to pay for that. Taking her out and getting her dinner and everything else. Yeah.
My husband and his dolls.
All right.
Oh, guys, it's
Doug.
nice seeing everybody.
You hang on just a minute. I'm gonna get out of here.
Okay.
We'll sign off the live, but you hang on just a minute.
All righty.
As I said,
thanks guys. Thanks for having me on board.
Thanks for watching, guys, and we will
catch you next time.
See you guys.